Tales of the Caballos by William H. White. Part 4, Chapter 12, The Money Pit. This is a story that really begins with Fred Drolte in the 1960s. It was a time when just about anything one wanted to do on federal land was allowed, or at least overlooked. It was at Granite Peak, and Fred was drilling his fateful hole that would eventually lead to the abrupt shutdown of his operation on the Caballo Mountains. Beside the 8-inch drill hole, Fred had placed a 24-inch cased hole that descended 170 feet into the mountain. Some say even further. About this time, Fred hit the big time, gold bars, and abruptly closed the operation down. This story is about what happened to this claim in the years following Fred's disappearance. There were 3 brothers who leased the claim from Fred's widow, and it was they who replaced the 24-inch casing with 36-inch casing that shortened it to 140 feet. From this point, a natural cavern opened up below the ancient tunnels, or so they said. It was these same 3 brothers who previously filled the 36-inch casing up with dirt to prevent people from descending into the mine. My partner and I gained access to these claims through research and timeliness and took possession of the site. Our job was to remove the dirt from the 36-inch casing, and it was slow going. Between 3 of us, we gained about 4 feet a day, and it was hard work. Our crew consisted of Ralph Wallach, Louis Jameson, and myself. We were all over 50, and it was beginning to show. Typically, we would lower ourselves down on a harness and would rope tie to the back bumper of a truck, then fill buckets until they ran out of steam and needed to be lifted out. It was a precarious and dangerous system, and it took a lot of courage to get into the harness and swing over the hole to be lowered into the darkness. I have always said that a coward dies 1,000 deaths, but I think I used up half of them on the journey in and out of this hole. The inside of the casing was rough with small protrusions of metal. Even a scrape would result in a torn shirt or ripped trousers. This project was far and away the most uncomfortable and dangerous thing we attempted on the Caballo Mountains. Did I mention the world-class infections caused by the slightest scratch while in the hole? Lucky for us, we had a generous supply of Mexican penicillin. We had been informed by the 2 surviving members of Fred Drolte's crew that the gold bars had been hit by the drillers between 90 feet and 130 feet, depending upon the day of the week it was. I know they didn't start out this way, but these 2 would tell a lie if the truth would serve them better. It must have come from years of trying to attract investors into their treasure hunting schemes, or maybe something in the water they drink. Our own equipment showed precious metal at about 123 feet. We had succeeded in digging the vertical shaft down to 88 feet when it was mutually agreed that something else should be tried. This was much too hard for senior citizens like us. Then we met the boys from Utah, the answer to our prayers. This hardworking crew came on the scene with new ideas and energy at the time when we needed it most. Within 2 days, the shaft was opened, but to our great surprise, the lower caverns were filled with water. Now what to do? The treasure hunt was getting more and more complicated at the time. After consulting with one of the brothers who had been in these caverns, we decided to pump the caverns dry to see if there was some blockage causing the water to accumulate. Here again, the boys from Utah came through again. If I haven't mentioned their names, it was Scott Beal with his son-in-law Ashton and his son Jason, along with Ken Baker doing the driving. This crew arrived in the evening, and by the time Ralph Wallach and myself showed up the next morning, the cavern had been pumped out and our questions were answered. The lower caverns went nowhere. Within 24 hours, the water filled back in to its original levels. We would have to try something else. Next, we found a cavern off the vertical shaft at 115 feet that seemed to be heading for the gold bar room. Currently, we are exploring this possibility as a way of getting into the gold bars. At this writing, we have not been successful. I mentioned that this was a dangerous undertaking, and it was true. On too many occasions, we had barely avoided one disaster after another. I am happy to report that the only permanent casualty was myself. This project owes me the end of my left index finger, which was pinched off in an open pulley while removing someone from the shaft. As a reader can see, it's truly becoming a money pit, as failure after failure continues to drive up the cost. Remember that treasure hunters are a strange lot. We get up each morning thinking that today could be the day when our fortunes are made. We are the ultimate optimists. The end. This is the last story of Tales of the Caballos. But there will be more stories to follow, as there are more books written. As my father has been treasure hunting his whole life in many different areas, this is just one snapshot of several different treasures that he was searching for. So for the treasure hunting genre of this channel, there will be more to follow. Thank you all. God bless.